Freyja is the best known and most important goddess in Norse mythology. Beautiful and many-functioned, she features heavily as a fertility goddess stemming from her place in the Vanir family of the gods along with her twin brother Freyr and father Njörd, and stars in many myths recorded in Old Norse literature as lover or object of lust. She lives in ýᴏᴜʀ, rides a carriage drawn by cats, and is connected not just with love and lust but also with wealth, magic, as well as hand-picking half of all fallen warriors on battlefields to go into Odin's Hall of Valhalla, the other half being selected by Odin himself. She likely played an important role in old Scandinavian religion. Freyja is part of the Vanir family of the gods who handle all things fertility-related, including harvests, her brother Freyr, wind, sea, and wealth, her father Njörd, and her own expertise regarding love, lust, and wealth, too. Her mother appears to have been giant daughter and wife of Njörd, Skadi, and while originally Freyja may have been paired in a brother-sister married couple with Freyr, Icelandic mythographer Snorri Sturluson, 1179–1241, our most comprehensive source when it comes to Norse mythology, has her down as wife of Od, who she has two daughters with, Nas and Ģersimi. These names both mean something along the lines of preciousness or treasure and were possibly used in later poetry as manifestations of Freyja herself. Od is said to have gone traipsing around on long journeys, inexplicably leaving Freyja behind, who would then search for him while weeping golden tears. This tale dates back to at least as early as the 10th century. He and Odin are commonly thought to have originally been one and the same person, with Od functioning as a shortened form of Odin. One of Freyja's attributes has already been mentioned, her cat-drawn carriage with which she zooms around the Norse mythological cosmos. Another is a garment, a coat, cloak or dress-like thing, made out of falcon feathers. Possibly, the boar Hildisvíni should also be counted among Freyja's attributes. The Heinlech poem has her riding said boar, and a boar connection, in general, is made more plausible by the fact that her brother Freyr is also associated with a boar, in his case named Gullinborsti. Seir, another name of Freyja's, is sometimes translated as sow, too, but it also might mean to protect, to shield, in which case it would negate this third boar link. Germanic mythological powerhouse H.R. Ellis Davidson adds another animal. Horses were certainly associated with the fertility pair Freyr and Freyja, and said to be kept in their holy places, 104. Her last, but not least, attribute is the necklace Ʇᴜ. The baseline of Freyja's various functions comes from her role as fertility goddess as per her Vanir descent. Specifically, her other name Horn probably comes from Old Norse hor, which means flax or linen. This was an important product which began being cultivated early on in Scandinavia and was thought to ward off evil and give fertility to humankind. Flax manufacture was a female affair, and as bridal dresses were made of linen, Freyja became a sort of defender of love and weddings, too. Another one of her names, Jefn, is Old Norse for giver, bringing to mind a role as a goddess of plenty. The handed-down mythology emphasizes Freyja's role in all things related to sexuality. For one, she often features as an irresistible object of lust, mainly in the eyes of the giants. The giant Thrym, for example, is only cool with returning the hammer he has stolen from Thor if he gets Freyja for his own. Besides her being the price of many things, which the other gods try to avoid paying, as such, other myths reinforce Freyja's supposed free and considerable sexuality. She also consents to sleep with 4 dwarves in turn in order for them to hand over the ꞉ᴜ to her and is accused in the Heinlech poem of being the hero Otter's lover. Presumably, then, early Scandinavians looked to Freyja in matters of love and lust. To make things even better, Freyja is also a goddess of wealth, as attested to by the many poetic references that link her to treasure. Her connection with magic is also well known, and Snorri Sturluson relays how it was Freyja who first taught the shamanistic magic called Seir to the Aesir. Finally, the way Freyja chooses slain warriors to be on her as opposed to Odin's team carries her into more ferocious spheres, functioning as a goddess of death and perhaps even battle itself. Which god selects you seems to boil down to social or personal status, or perhaps comes from the fact that both the Vanir and the Asir needed someone to fulfill this role on the battlefield. This link between Freyja and Odin, as well as Odin's own strong proficiency with magic, helps illustrate how Odin and Njörd, Freyja's husband, could plausibly have originally been the same person. As evidenced above, there are plenty of myths recorded in the Old Norse sources that are keen to dive into the subject of Freyja. The Heinlech poem emphasizes she was more than just a pretty face. In it, Freyja visits wise woman Heinlech asking her to unravel the hero Otter's ancestry, soaking up this knowledge. However, in the ᴍᴜ, her desirability is once again a core theme. The story tells of Thor's hammer being stolen by the giant Ým, who will not return the hammer unless he gets his hands on Freyja. Freyja refuses to tag along, however, giving up the Ʇᴜᴜ to help Thor disguise himself as her. After almost giving things away because Thor gorged himself to such an extent at the wedding banquet so as to raise suspicion, his burning eyes not helping either, Loki luckily smooth talks his way out of it and ensures they get the hammer back. For good measure, Thor kills Ým and a bunch of other giants on his way out. As for other giant-related myths, the giant Hrungnir boasts he would bodily move Valhalla into Jötunheiminn, the realm of the giants, sink Asgard, the realm of the gods, and kill all the gods except for Freyja and Sif, who he will take home with him. In the tale of the giant master builder, a giant offers to build walls around Asgard as long as he gets Freyja, the sun and the moon. Regarding her necklace Ʇᴜᴜ, which is assigned to Freyja by late Old Norse sources, 13th and 14th centuries, the most famous myth concerns its theft but is preserved in such a fragmentary and tricky way that it is now rather hard to come up with one comprehensive story. The most detailed version is also the youngest and thus not the pinnacle of reliability, the Sorla ýᴜᴜ, which survives in the 14th century CE. ᴱᴜᴜ describes how Freyja sleeps with 4 dwarves to get the Ʇᴜᴜᴜ, and how Odin then forces Loki to steal the necklace from her. Loki enters her bedroom as a fly, stings her so she moves her hand off of the necklace, and grabs it. By contrast, Snorri Sturluson has Loki and Heimdall fighting each other over the necklace. As a fertility goddess, Freyja would have taken up a central role in old Scandinavian religion, playing a part in the circle of life. The Old Norse sources do not specifically detail the existence of a cult of Freyja per se, but the large number of place names in Sweden and Norway related to her name, such as Frøyhav and Frovi, show clear worship, perhaps even pointing to a public cult as opposed to the domestic cult one would expect of a goddess of love. It is clear that the people of Iceland on the cusp of conversion to Christianity around the year 1000 CE still had Freyja clearly on their mind. The ýᴜᴜᴜ states that Hjalti Skegjesson, a supporter of Christianity, was outlawed for blasphemy after calling Freyja a bitch, in this case a female dog, but taken to mean he wanted to call her a whore, at the Althing Parliament. She was obviously still important enough for people to not successfully get away with these sorts of things.